Hey there, we'll get started in a minute or two or three. Just want to share this link to my personal page too. Hey everyone, Lori, Gordon, Scott. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. This is exciting. I'm just sharing this link and then we'll get started. All right. I think that worked. I don't know. Okay, so everyone, hey there. Christy, everyone, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm just gonna wait another minute because it's getting close to 7, or maybe it is 7. It is 7, so anyway, this is the first time I've ever done any of these live feeds, and you know, I'll have to say that it was a lot more intense than I thought. You know, it's like, oh, everyone's doing it, I can do it, no problem, and my God, there's so many little details that, of course, I didn't think through. So just today I discovered, as I was doing the quick little blurb about the live feed later, but I did it live, I realized that the entire image was flipped. That what I showed in that video wasn't even really the way that you would see the work. So I had to figure out how to flip the camera. So now you should be seeing the things the way that I created them. But for me, when I'm looking at this screen and reading your comments and kind of navigating myself, because it's the forward-facing camera, it's flipped because of doing it for you. So anyway, I really struggle with that because it's opposite than the way that I'm actually moving as I see myself. So a little comparison that I have for that is sometimes we rent these little boats out here in the harbor that have an outboard motor. And if you've ever done that, you know that when you want to go this way, you want to like turn this way, but you don't. You turn the motor the opposite way than the way that you want to go. And I've never been able to figure that out. So bear with me because this is going to be a ride. So anyway, I just wanted to welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. This is my studio here in Provincetown, right in the center of town. What's very exciting about this is that a lot of you who have never been in my space can join, and I can show off my studio to you too. So any of you who don't know who I am, I'm James Frederick. I'm an artist, so I'm a painter, a cartoonist, and an illustrator. And what I'll be showing you tonight are a bunch of new paintings that I did. But essentially, this is my 6th season. So I moved to Provincetown in 2014 to focus on my art. In 2015, I opened my studio. And it's just mind-boggling to me that this is the 6th year for me to do this. I'm very excited, and I feel very honored and grateful to be welcomed by so many people, not just in this town, but all the collectors who collected my work over time. So I'm just going to take a deep breath. I'd love for this just to be more of a conversation, because what happens when I sell art or when I do art and show art, there's this thing of connection, you know, and it's what I miss the most during this pandemic, you know, the ability to chat with people and connect about a piece or about a comic or a drawing, and it's been kind of the big benefit, the big payoff for me of doing this, and I miss it so much. So I'm watching everyone say hi, hello everyone, and I'm feeling connected again, so this is good. I'm hoping that you won't hate how kind of amateur this is, but you know, I want to be a painter, not a videographer, and I have a tripod that is stuck onto this little cart, and I'm going to roll it around, and it's going to be a little shaky, so deal with it, that's the scoop. So I'm from a family of artists, and I've been painting and drawing my entire life, and I did a lot of other things too. I worked as an interior designer for years, doing commercial work and residential work. And hey, Darren, and I'm also been doing a lot of different kind of branding and things like that. But 11 years ago, I started out on my own, doing my own design work, and then it kind of morphed into a lot of art. And I kind of had a late life crisis, I would say, versus a midlife crisis before moving here. So, because I was already well into my 50s when I decided that if I didn't do this now, I would never do it. So that's why I came here in 2014 to focus on my art. And Provincetown calls me for a lot of reasons, because of the beauty of the nature here, because of the welcoming community, but also because it's a huge arts colony. And one of the longest running arts colonies. And there's kind of a debate whether it's the longest running or not. But for me, it's been a very supportive environment for me to do this work. And so enough talking, let me show you some work. So the pieces that I'm going to show you tonight are about 14 or 15 new paintings that are called S6, or S to the 6th power. And that's because, again, it's my 6th season, but also because I feel inspired by the elements here of sand, salt, sea, surf, sky, and sun. And I really don't have poison ivy. It's just a nervous twitch where I just keep scratching myself. So, oh my God. So anyway, these paintings were intentionally, initially when I thought about doing this body of work, it was going to be a little more abstract. But you know, this COVID-19 and kind of the reduction in carbon emissions has created this situation in the atmosphere. At least it's very apparent here on Cape Cod that there's this sparkling clarity, and because of COVID-19, I've had more time to kind of like go to the beach or be outside and go on walks, and I've been able to engage with this nature more than in previous years when I'm so busy like running the season and planning the season. So it's been really good in that way that I've been really inspired. And so my work has become a little more representational because I really want to get to the beauty of it. And so enough about what's going on. Hey, Rich. So these pieces are mostly seascapes. I'm going to bring this camera a little closer, and I'm going to step out because you want to look at the work and not at me. So let's see if this isn't too jiggly. So this piece is called Cod Color, and it's 24 by 24. It's acrylic on canvas, and it's framed in this black satin shadow, or a reveal. We call it kind of a shadow box frame. But it's a scene from looking from the top of McMillan Pier, so that's why it feels a little elevated over the rest of the dock that sticks out to the left. So we used to call this the dinghy dock, and it's the one that floats up and down with the tide. And this was taken, I paint from photographs, and I took this photo in the morning. So this is a sunrise coming up over the harbor. So as I jiggle this around, let me know whether or not you have enough time to see these, or if you want more time with kind of each piece. But I did want you to know that I have a link in the comments that take you to my online store. So all of these pieces are available, and they're up on my online store. Just go to that link and you can see more details. And if you want to purchase, you can purchase directly from that, and you won't have to call me to coordinate it. All the shipping is free on these new pieces, so it doesn't matter where in the US you are. But so they're all right there. Does everyone, thank you, Christy. So I'm gonna move on to a couple other pieces, and we can always come back and revisit some things. I'm kind of moving this dolly, and it's gonna be a little jiggly until I get over here to this next piece. I do have some sun coming in here today, so it feels like there's a little bit of a strange lighting situation. So hopefully that is reading fairly well. So this piece is called Beached, and it's obviously a beached sailboat. So this sailboat is one that I took a photograph of a few years ago that was kind of beached at the east end, kind of near Pepe's Wharf in that area, Pearl Street. I just, was on a beach walk, and I was like, oh my God, this is so strange, because I just couldn't imagine that this boat, it looked like a very expensive boat, was just kind of beached there, but it obviously was moored and the tide went out, and so it ended up being there. And I took a photo that captured the sun rising kind of behind the mast, and that's what you see here in this image. So this one is also the same size as the last one. It's 24 by 24. It's acrylic and pencil on canvas, and framed the same way in the floating frame, the satin black floating frame. All right, so when I step out like that, I'm not seeing your comments, so I apologize for that. Let's see if this little cart can come on over here. This is pretty hysterical, actually. All right, so these pieces are more of the collection. Sorry, close your eyes if you're getting dizzy. So these two smaller pieces are 12 by 12s, and they're framed in a floating frame that's black on the sides and actually has an antique silver face. The top one is called Long Point Twilight. And it's just at that point when you get the reflective sunlight in the harbor, because the sun's going down over town back by Herring Cove, and you get that reflective sunlight. And sometimes it goes very pink or purple, and in this case, much more kind of lavender glow, and a few sailboats in the harbor as well. And down below that piece, if you can see, it looks like you can see that one, especially if you don't have the comments scrolling, because it shadows it, but turn off the comments so that you can see this piece at the bottom, which is called Sunset at the Moors. And so this is my favorite little swimming spot over in the Moors, and this is when it's more of a high tide and you're watching the sun set on the other side of that dune, which is where Herring Cove Beach is. So that's, again, 12 by 12, and it's called Sunset at the Moors. All right, am I going too fast? I think I'm okay. So I'm just gonna roll on down here. Hopefully it's not too jiggly. So this piece is 30 by 30. It's much larger. It's one of the largest pieces in the show. It's called Sun After Storm, and it was painted from a photograph I took on one of my mini beach fires as we watched the sun drop, depending on the time of year, closer to Race Point or not. So that's Race Point that you see off in the distance. And I love the sky in this piece. I had a lot of fun with kind of bringing it to life, and it has a lot of action, a lot of motion. You know, I always see a lot of orange in the light here, whether or not it's actually a sunset or not. And so you will see a lot of orange in my blue skies. So this is, again, 30 by 30. It's on a little thicker of a canvas, so it's got a gunmetal floating frame. It's a gunmetal finish on a wood frame, and it actually is 2 inches deep. So it projects from the wall about 2 inches. And if you go on the online store and look at this piece, on all of these pieces actually, you'll see kind of a shot that shows you the profile projection of the frame, so you can get a sense of that. So again, this one is called Sun After Storm. And we'll just move down to a few more pieces. And hopefully these are in view. Thanks, Darren. Hey, David. So these two pieces are small. They're 8 by 10 each. One vertical, one horizontal. The top one is called Crest. And it's just that beautiful moment when you see the sun dropping at the horizon line and how it lights, the light from the sun will just sparkle the edges of those waves. So again, framed like some of the earlier pieces I talked about. So it's a black frame with a antique silver face, a floating frame. And the lower one is called Sunset Streak. And this is really from a time I was out on a sailboat coming into the harbor to moor before it gets too dark. And it was at a point where the sun was just amazing over the city, over the town. And so what you see is the silhouette of the Pilgrim Monument, Town Hall, or I'm sorry, the UU, and Town Hall. And then off to the left, you can see the pier coming out from the edge. So yeah, that one is called Sunset Streak. And I know that someone was really interested in that one. So if you go on to the online store, it might already be gone at this point. So let's see, this one is the largest of the show, and it's called Harbor Flats. So it's 30 by 40, and it's a really large piece. I mean, it would definitely be kind of a focal point in a room. You know, all artists typically hate this when people say, oh, it'll be perfect over my sofa, but it would be perfect over a sofa. At any rate, it's called Harbor Flats, and it's basically over in the east part of the harbor. You can see the breakwater off to the right there, and it's the area where, you know, it becomes a very shallow grade, the approach into the water here. And so at low tide, you really get these flats that come up. And so this is the light just hitting the water in these kind of little areas, and you can see the raised areas of sand. So this is from the area where we do the polar plunge sometimes, and what I always thought was awful, like I've done a couple polar plunges, and one of them I did on Herring Cove, and when you get into the water, you know, it goes down pretty quickly, so you can easily submerge, get out and run, and when you do it here with the rest of the group, I haven't done it for a couple years, I think, but when I did it here, it was like it takes forever to get out far enough because of the way that is such a slow grade going out into the harbor. So anyway, it's kind of in the same area. But it's called, again, Harbor Flats, 30 by 40, and with the gunmetal frame. And let's see if you get these in the shot. So you can see the top, these are two more 8 by 10s. And hey, Tom and David having a sidebar there. So these are two 8 by 10s, and the top one is called Moon over Truro. And so this is when you're a lot further east in town and watching the moon come up, probably like over back by like head of the Meadow or somewhere, and it's just come up over. So what you see in the distance there is Truro, and the dunes of Truro and some of the cliffs, how there's a kind of some kind of taller elevations there to get down to the water. And then you see the moon reflection into the water. So this is 8x10. It's on the, it's in that same floating frame with the black edges and the antique silver face. The lower one is one that I've painted a few times in different ways. It's this shot I took of a little dinghy in the East End that used to be out there all the time, and it was called the Crouton. And so that's actually, this one is called Crouton and Waiting. And it's a view of McMillan Pier in the background with the little Crouton dinghy in the foreground. And again, with the sunset and kind of the reflective glow that you get over the harbor. Hey everyone, Steve, Howard. This is actually very fun. I wish I could just watch the scroll of the chat and not even talk about the art, which is awful, but it's like the connection is the best part. So this piece is 30 by 30, and it's called Distant Dune, and it's basically a look at Wood End from within the marshes, kind of just off from the breakwater. The breakwater would be off to your left from here. And you can kind of see how the light hits that dune in the distance a bit more than it does the foreground of the painting. Pardon me. So again, it's acrylic on canvas. It's on the thicker canvas, and so it's got that larger gunmetal floating frame with the 2-inch projection. So that one is called Distant Dune. And there are 3 more paintings that are part of this, actually 4 more. And I'm gonna lift this cart up that has the dinghy and move over there, and then we'll come back to look at this other wall. All right, how's everyone doing? Is it too shaky? You doing all right? Yeah? It looks like, let me scroll back quickly through some of these and just see if anyone's bitching about the cameraman. It's funny, it's because it's like, I'm here with the people that I quarantine with, which is no one, so I'm all alone. So here we go. Close your eyes if it's too shaky. All right. I don't know if you can see these 3. So I created this little feature this year where I'm able to put paintings on this column. So it's really great from the street. You can really see in here and see these, and they're lit up at night, which is great. The lower piece is called Through the Grass. These are all 16 by 16, and they're framed with the antique silver-faced black floating frame. And the middle one here is called Head of the Meadow, which is basically a shot that I took from top of the dune at Head of the Meadow, where you can see the parking lot off on the right and then the ocean off on the left. And let me back this up more so that you can see the upper one. And, oops, sorry. It was also part of the show, Marsh to Beach. So I did these early on in the process and used them to help promote the show, and the top one and the bottom one actually have already sold. So the center one, Head of the Meadow, is still available. All right, now I'm gonna spin this over here, and hopefully you can see, I can't tell, but on this table is a commission piece I did, which is also part of this body of work, and it's called Fractal at Herring Cove Beach. And it's basically the dog, actually the late dog of some really good friends of mine, and it was one of the beautiful nights that we had a fire on Herring Cove. And you can see Race Point light in the background there. All right, so how's it going? I don't really know how this is really working out, and I'll know better once I watch this afterwards, which is gonna be pretty crazy. How long have we been on? Let's see what time it is. Okay, 7:22. So, I'm just gonna set you guys right here for a second. I'm gonna read what this text is really important. It looks like it might be important. And then I'm gonna show you some older pieces that I did last year that I feel really relate to this theme of the six elements: sand, salt, sea, surf, sky, and sun. And then I can show you the other things I've done here to the studio if you are interested. So just 1 second. Okay, well, it looks like someone's having difficulty finding the feed because I didn't do this in the event. And the reason I didn't was because earlier when I did that little promo blurb in the event, when I went to find it, it was like buried in the event. And I felt like if I just did it on my page that it would be more kind of universal for everyone. So I don't know, Scott, if you ever made it in to see, but this will be out there via video for a while, so I think forever, unless I take it down. So you'll be able to see it eventually. Because I don't have time to text you back while I'm on camera. So anyway, these pieces behind me, I'll take you a little closer. This is a body of work that is called Movement. And it's actually a bunch of 16 by 16s that I painted kind of all together, and they create this impression that I have of Newton's third law of motion, which is that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But you can definitely see the inspiration from Cape Cod and the sea and the sky and the sun and the tide. And when you think about the tide itself and how that is kind of an action that has an equal and opposite reaction, and it may be over a period of time, but you know, it comes and it goes. So that movement is very present in these pieces, and they're priced separately, but they work together obviously as all 12. But you could also think about these in groupings. Like you could do a grouping of 4 or a grouping of 3 or 3 vertical, or you know, whatever. You could do 6. Or you can mix and match. They even relate, I think, a lot in color and shape and form and movement to where you could mix them up and they would be cool too. So if you have a really large place, you could do all of them. But again, these are all called Movement. It's a more abstracted, kind of referential view of the sea and the sky and the sun. So that's the show. That is S to the 6th power and my 6th season. So thanks everyone. I'm going to scroll through here and see if there's any questions that may have popped up. And while I'm doing that, if you have any questions, just type one in now and I'll probably see it a little sooner. Where is all this going? Oh my God, there's a lot of questions here. I'm going to have someone help me with this next time, I think. But you know me, I'm always thinking I could do it all myself. So I want to show you then what I did with the gallery. So to do that, I'm actually going to take this off of the stand. So it might be a little jiggly, but I'm just going to show you around. And if you're familiar with my studio in the past, I had a lot more fixtures in here. And it was a little crowded, but I had a lot of kind of more general merchandise. And I made the decision last year and over the last couple of years to kind of walk away from some of that a little bit and just do a little bit more focus on my original works. And so I had switched up the space dramatically, and you can see that, you know, it's very open. Let me step back here and you can see. So it's very open. And I've opened up this area that I work in. So I condensed myself to, this is that backwards thing. I condensed myself to this wall that way, and so that I could open up this back wall as a key focal wall. So this is my wood panels, which you're probably familiar with. I paint on a wood panel, and then I draw with oil pastel and color pencil. And these are typically Provincetown scenes. They're a lot of fun to do. There's a lot of color involved, and they're highly collectible. So these will continue to happen. There are some self-portraits here from a show I did last year, and then here's a larger wood panel. Here's a diptych of the bike path in Beach Forest, and not to swing this around too much, but between that I have my comics now have a permanent home here, so you'll know more about that when you see this coming. This is my little work area, and it looks like nothing, but what happens is I spread that all out and take over the whole space. So I'm going to go back to the stand. Oh, the other thing is that all of Color Me P-Town is pulled together here in this little nook. I have a table kind of pushed in here now, but so all of the items that are related to Color Me P-Town, including the coloring books and everything, are all just right here. So, all right. So, now, there, finally. It's like, whoa. So I wanted just to say thanks for coming. Love your feedback. Please put it into the notes, or even after this video is posted, after I go off of the live feed, it will post, and then you can add comments there. Just let me know what you think works and doesn't work, and if you have any specific questions about any of the works. And the next one that I plan to do is on June 19th, and it's called Apart, and it is a body of work that's inspired by the distance that we've been forced to take. So it's going to be abstract, emotional, very expressive, kind of a play on intimacy and apartness and distance and forced distance and kind of the longing for that connection. So that is called Apart, and it's on Friday night, June 19th. So our my openings, starting with that one, will always be on Friday night, which was always traditionally the Provincetown art stroll. And just to make everyone aware, the 30 of galleries here in Provincetown, we've all banded together to create this P-Town gallery stroll. You can do P-Town gallery stroll at Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Twitter might just be Gallery Stroll or P-Town Stroll, I can't remember. But I'll post all this stuff. We're gonna have a press release about it in a couple days, and I will share with all of you the information so that you can kind of look at all of the galleries here in town and see what's going on and be overwhelmed with the beauty of so much work. So that is coming up soon. And then in July, my show that I had planned for July 3rd is the comics exhibition that I do every year. And this year I will be launching my new comic book, which actually I printed and published in March, but it's called That's Nuts. And I have to figure out how that's gonna work in this format. But so stay tuned. And I think I'm just kind of going on. So I'm going to go off, and thank you everyone for joining, and I can read through all these comments after I go off then. So oh yeah, so Marion Peck just gave me the URL. It's ptowngallerystroll.com. So that's it. Thank you. Bye.